Okay, so a lot of people have covered the best weapons for fantasy adventurers. I am not a weapons expert, nor am I an actual adventurer. I am a writer who has seen a fair few YouTube videos. But being a writer means I need to think through what I put into a book and how much detail is too much detail. So in this series of videos, I'll be trying to recommend a balance between the practicality of a weapon and its effect in the story. Uh, for some parameters, I'll be assuming the hero is fairly fit. Farm life requires strong arms, strong back. Women of the time did laundry by beating water out of their clothes, and they could assist in some farm work as well. So, you know, a lot of noblemen doubled as warriors. Monks did a lot of their own labor. Pretty much, very few people in the in the middle. I want to say medieval and Middle Ages at the same time. It's not going to work. People who are physically weak are out there, but you don't need to justify your hero's physical fitness beyond a sentence or two. And I'll be assuming the adventurer is carrying his or her own equipment, but horses could help. I'm also assuming this is based on medieval Europe, but I don't limit you to that. I wouldn't mind reading a good samurai fantasy book. Now let's get into it. Swords are the basic answer, but there's nothing wrong with it. The entire edge is dangerous, meaning it's not necessarily a precision weapon. It's also easy to draw from your side. And if the handle is ovoid, meaning oval shaped, it means your hand will naturally want to hold it with the edge facing the correct direction. So it's a great weapon for someone who doesn't know what they're doing. There is a high skill ceiling, especially with actual precision weapons like rapiers, but it's not necessary to survive some bandits or goblins. Now, an arming sword, which is strictly one handed, uh, it can be difficult for some people to wield. Jill Barrett did a she did a great video on how the size of the combatant can affect how they fight. Pretty much, if your arms are small, you can't wield some weapons. Uh, I guess if they were made for you, it could be different. Oh well. She did note, however, a longsword was easier to wield for someone smaller, than an arming sword, since you can use two hands, but it's not twice as much sword. Now, as for the differences between long swords and hand and a half swords and the rudely named swords, there is no difference. I was surprised too. I thought there was this hierarchy of swords. Long swords were two handers, but a hand and a half could be used either way. Like, if you're a big, strong knight, you can use them, a hand and a half, one handed. But no, that's not the way it is. Uh, of course, there are larger swords than a long sword. Great swords are strictly two handers, and they can be twice as much sword. But you can also get shorter swords too, like a gladius or something. Uh, while I would recommend a long sword to most fantasy writers for their book, for their hero, Uh, since they're great for adventurers, beginners, and audiences kind of know what they are, I do have a caveat. The price of these swords can be a bit high for a lot of people. Uh, Differing levels of industry can mean different availability of swords. Is it the Roman era? Sure, take a sword, we've got plenty. Is it the Viking Age? Then not even professional warriors necessarily have swords. Like, steel was expensive. Still kind of is. Uh, and Not every blacksmith knew how to make a sword. Metalworking has come a long way. Now we have steels with the exact carbon content we want for swords. Back then, they needed to put together different kinds of steels, since some steels were too hard, on its own, and other steel was too soft. Nowadays, you ask a guy to make you a sword, and he'll be able to do it out of one piece of steel, one homogeneous piece. Back then, he'd need to use multiple pieces. All this to say, swords are expensive. You can figure out how to give your hero one, over the course of some story. But he's not getting one from the typical village blacksmith. I'm still giving him swords.